Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to the first of this S.H.O.P Social Hub Positivity broadcast for the new year 2024, everyone. Welcome and good luck out there. It could be a bumpy ride. However, we at Can Do have, as well as our day-to-day running our complimentary education program, we have got some nice, exciting events coming up in February, which we will be telling you more about as the time goes on. But just a quick one. We, as part of the Fringe of the Fringe, which is a new concept where we are putting some a theatre production together, we're promoting one or we're producing one at the wonderful Rotary Hall on Station Hill in Chippenham, which of course you know is in Wiltshire, which you know is obviously in England, and England is was a part of Europe, well it still is technically, but is on Earth. Anyway, on the 14th of February, so I'm going to give you a bit of warning about this one. We have the amazing Mark Rutherford. He's doing this interactive piece called Love Stories, fittingly for the 14th of February. Something a little bit different where, come along and see. There'll be booking details as we go on. It'll probably be an Eventbrite scenario. We'll try and make it pay what you can, but at the same time, we want to ensure that the artiste gets money, and well-deserved money for their work. And the other event, the day after, is at the wonderful Red Lion in Laycock with Maggie Storvold. Now, you can check her out you can check both these people out. Check Maggie out on YouTube, etc. But she's an amazingly talented Canadian singer-songwriter. Does really beautiful songs. And for those of you that come to our weekly event at the Red Lion in Laycock, it's a beautiful setting to hear, play, eat, drink and be merry. So 15th of February, very unusual. We're very lucky to be part of her European tour, and through a whole set of good fortunes, we've been able to work alongside her as I wheezed into the night. Anyway, so Maggie Storvold on the 15th, Mark Rutherford on the 14th. So theatre at the Rotary Hall on the 14th in celebration of Valentine's. We're also working, and again, Maggie Storvold at the Red Lion in Laycock, which is near Chippenham, which is they're both in Wiltshire. And of course, many people will know the lovely Laycock because it's featured in so many films, including Harry Potter, etc., etc. But that's no reason, not the only reason to go there, because it's a great community. But also, the Red Lion's a great venue, but it's also, there's music. Check it out, Maggie Storvold.
Love my daddy and I love him true. He's got dreams to spare in his eyes of blue. There's a white shaman on the street corner holding John Lennon and the Buddha. He's got the red light, says he's a Rasta. He was born in southern Alberta. He's here now, and that's alright. Baby, that's just Kootenai life.
You wouldn't be calling me lovely if I sang this, so I'm not going to. I said, "Hello, is it me you're looking for?" She said, "Hey, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. I said, "Let's dance." She said, "Tequila, it makes me happy." I said, who's going to drive you home tonight? She said, I think we're alone now. I said, kiss? She said, happy. I said, let's talk about sex, baby. She said, hit me with your rhythm stick. I said, I think you're crazy. She said, anything you want, you got it. I said, I think I want to marry you. She said, baby, baby, baby. I said, you took the words right out of my mouth. Time passed. She said, help, I need somebody. I said,
I don't know what fortune we had to be given both of these two artists. But that's the thing, isn't it? You just got to be out there to do stuff. And obviously part of our mission at Can Do is to promote the arts in all its glory, in all its different facets, but to make it accessible. We are not just doing the same old trite stuff that you often find, no disrespect to people, but is usually inaccessible, is usually a set for a particular market, which is usually the, dare I say, the middle classes and above. But in reality, what tames the beast, what allows us to understand our humanity, our life experience, the shared experience is through the arts. And without a doubt, this is why Can Do Arts uses all the arts to look at all the different aspects of sustainable development. And that's from the environmental aspect of it, but also the social. And really important, it's the social environment, because the earth will survive without us. We are a part of nature, not apart from nature. All these things you'll hear me say time and time again. But sometimes people don't understand, or they think that we only work with young people, which is an honour to do. And the reason we put so much time and effort, as you can imagine, working across the board, particularly with kids in care, etc., is to acknowledge that there is bound to be a shortfall. If someone's already displaying challenges in a normal school setting, for instance, we want to support the schools, and we've got wonderful schools in Wiltshire, so we're lucky in that respect. But to support the schools, to support the individuals with their individual challenges, so that they're addressed, and that's why we work in partnership with schools, to look at those issues out of the normal setting in a more creative setting, so that the individuals can become creative problem solvers for themselves, to be empowered, to look at their own emotional and mental well-being, and to be able to understand that there are things that you can do to change, develop, and have a more positive existence. And actually, the arts help and support that, because it's a intellectual and an emotional journey usually with the arts, whether it's photography or whether it's a piece of theatre or whatever. Films, as you know, we make films, etc., and that's why we do it. And we've been very fortunate over the years to have such great people supporting us right across the community, including a variety of fantastic celebrities, we'll call them for the want of that. Well, who I guess are in the true sense of it. But actually, the most important thing about the people that have supported us over the years is that usually they're my friends, which I'm very fortunate to have, but also that they have a ethical, moral, soulful understanding of the world, and beyond the trappings of wealth and fame, they want to make an effective and a positive contribution to everyone's life, not just their own. So I'm very fortunate. There's a list of people that have helped us over the years, and I'm truly grateful. No more so than the wonderful Steve Perriman, who is a personal hero of mine, but also the wonderful Melanie C. And obviously you know all about her, Damon Albarn, Ray Winston, Jerome Flynn, etc. And I don't mean to leave anyone out of this list, but the reason I'm name dropping is to draw attention to the fact that we have been fortunate to have all these different people from a variety of arts supporting what we do, because what we do is there to support those that need it most. And when we are looking across the board at all these different issues, whether it's the green environment, and we've worked with big industrial players within that, petrochemical companies, paper mills, etc. Paper mills, In fact, the paper generating company that produces the newsprint for our local newspaper, the Gazette and Herald. I don't know about your local newspaper, wherever you're watching this, but trace its line. Anyway, so we are looking, and our purpose is to explore all the aspects of society, community, that unites us commonly, common unity, community. And in doing so, we look at an interview or promote or do art, or we do whatever community initiatives to throw light onto these subjects. So for instance, leading up to the elections, we're going to be doing a whole set of profiles on our local councillors, so that people better understand them, because obviously it's quite apparent that they will give out one impression when they want to be elected, but actually once in office, and I'm not just talking about the national ones, they're bad enough, but the local ones. So with this particular scrutiny about the whole idea of party politics in local politics, which is almost laughable, in the sense that we really don't need to be just going, people certainly in a local scenario shouldn't be towing the party line, which we have come to understand is exactly what they've been doing. And there's a variety of parties in our particular area. I don't know about yourselves. We've got beyond the traditional parties. So you've got the Conservatives. I don't need to tell you how badly that's worked out for everyone. We've got the Liberal Democrats. Now, even though people will have remembered that the last time that they shared power in a coalition, they didn't hold their promises. They didn't maintain no student grants. They were totally opposed to that at one stage, and then no sooner had they got elected. Now, I've talked to lots of Liberal Democrats about this, and they don't have any valid reason for that to be. They just go along. Everyone thinks that we have to be going along the traditional party lines, and it's quite patently not worked. It hasn't worked for the whole of our society. In our area, the more I scrutinise it and the more I've come up against these local politicians, because we've got a new party. It's not official. It's just a sort of a conflation of so-say independent councillors who come together, particularly around the environment, the green environment, which of course is essential. It underpins all our existence. But at the same time, and this has been talked about by other councillors who recognise that they're obviously a party, and I'm going to go into the details of who they are and what they do closer to election time, so that people can see, oh yeah, wait a minute, this isn't what it appears to be. Now, as much as we all like somebody campaigning for the green environment, as I've said to many specialists and high-thinking, ranking people, and I've consulted in all sorts of areas, Home Office, etc., you have to put people before pandas. And what I mean by that is, if people are struggling to maintain, and particularly now more than ever, their very existence, keeping a roof over their head if they've got one, cost of living, etc., the emergence or the complete, never before seen, I don't think, in our history, appearance of food banks. It's appalling. It's absolutely appalling. Anyway, looking at all these different aspects and looking at why, who, why, what, why, and when these things are allowed to prosper in the worst possible way, or to develop because we shouldn't need them, is what my point. So when I say people before pandas, what I'm saying is that if people have a good standard of living, if they have good standard of education, if they're not worrying and totally taxed out of existence or crippled by the machine of big government and international whatever, they will be able to understand the value or the necessity for us to maintain a positive, sustainable relationship with the natural environment, because again, we're a part of it. We're a part of nature, not apart from it. So anything that we do, whether it's putting out fumes into the atmosphere, biosphere, stratosphere, whatever, will come back to bite us, as it were. We don't need to talk about the figures of people that die every year in London from exhaust fumes. It's asthma-related deaths. But if you were to just do yourself a favour and look at how many people die each year from asthma-related due to toxins in so they say, in the petrol and in the exhaust, etc., you will see that just on that level, we might be looking at a different way of how we use transport, etc., and what it's run on, whether it's electric or whatever. And there's all sorts of to's and fro's. But the point of the matter is, we probably are aware that cars, petrol cars, diesel cars, their exhausts poison the environment for most living things. Now, I'm not a scientist. Now, you'll think, and nor are a lot of people. But here's the crack. The facts seem to be out there about the cause and effect of all sorts of negative aspects of human existence. Poverty and homelessness are really easy to overcome, to facilitate, to end. For instance, so say there are more homeless people. There are more people with two homes than there are homeless people in this country. Just a figure that I've come across. Now, again, I haven't counted them, but it does stand to reason for me in an equitable society that everyone should have a house before anyone has two. It's just a sort of common decency. It's just, it's just a nice thing, a nice way to exist. It's obvious if there aren't enough houses, there are. If people aren't given the houses or homes, they are going to struggle. So building and developing homes, particularly in around where we are, Chippenham, just because it happens to have a railway and a motorway close by, doesn't improve the quality of life for people. Some businesses will love it. They'll love the fact, particularly building developers, housing developers, property developers. They're going to love it because obviously that's how they make their money. I don't know that we should be making money out of properties. Seriously, I think that housing should be one of those fundamental, needs of human beings that need to be, don't say given, but they need to be available to all those that need them, regardless of price. And I'm not talking about super luxury. I'm talking about basic need, okay, for everyone. So that should be as a civilization, as civilized community, we should be facilitating the needs, the known needs of all of our citizens. Just take each area as a piece of jigsaw. The big whole jigsaw is the whole universe, and the micro jigsaw is a little piece that, in our particular situation, is called Chippenham. Yours will be wherever you're watching this from. Anyway, to ensure that our little piece of jigsaw is sustainable, is healthy, is positive, trying to reduce, obviously, the economic and environmental negative impacts, but the social impacts of people who feel disenfranchised from society, and we come up with all sorts of responses to that. Lots of negative, and the negative impact that they can have affects all the people, right across the board. So it doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, or whoever, or old or young or whatever. If people are impacting in your community in a negative way, chances are you can be impacted negatively by it. So your quality of life goes down. So to ensure that everyone has the best chance of a quality of life, the basic things like homes, good education, clean water, fresh air, etc., are vital. So there's no debate about that. How we don't, as a society, ensure that they are there for everyone, so we don't have conflict, we don't have conflict within communities, those that have against those that have not. Which is why it is vitally important that we do not have councillors, local councillors, acting purely on one issue. So if they are just banging on about the environment all the time, it's like, yeah, important. Of course it is. It's vital. But actually, to not allow groups like ours, for instance, to support us to work with those that have not, or have the least, or who need the most support, not these middle class enterprises. I'm talking in class terms because it's easier for you to maybe to understand the differentials. So if people whose families can afford to, for instance, have music lessons, fantastic. I'm sure that there's plenty of people who will take the money to give your children music lessons, drama workshops, dance, etc., etc. That's great. But for children that don't have who are through no fault of their own, are in a socioeconomic situation that they can't access them, they are going to be at a disadvantage. So we want to ensure that they have the same opportunities and come up with the same positive view of their community as any other child. So if the arts, the music, the dance and everything are so important, it's important that every child has the access to them. And anyone that argues against that probably hasn't read enough or thought about it enough. However, for local councillors, it is important that they understand that they can't just be in office for either party political reasons, because that's absurd. And history has proven that all the established parties, including Labour, have in one way or the other compromised or gone against the very things that they got elected on. And it's absurd. The fact that people voted in a Conservative government is appalling in itself, but that they voted to have Boris Johnson as a Prime Minister is up to them. Okay, great. However, if that party then decides they don't want that person as their leader, at that point there should be another general election, because it's a false pretense. The fact that we then had good old Liz and now Itchy Ballsack, we are really at a disadvantage on a democratic process. So in future, I think there should be a situation that if a election is held and the leader at the time who wins the election is the Prime Minister, if the party want to get rid of that person, there should be another general election, etc. However, I'm also promoting the idea of these citizens' assemblies, and I want everyone to look into them, because my working across at highest levels of government, actually with ministers, and also more recently with our local council, I've come to realise that actually it's unhelpful. Let's say that we have local politicians aligned to certain parties have to toe the party line regardless of the impact on the local community, that there is no real relationship between the national leading governments or parties and or the localised council and what it should be doing. So citizens' assemblies where more people have a democratic input are vital, because party politics has proven time and time again to be disingenuous, as me being generous with my comment. Disingenuous. I think that it can be proven that on lots of occasions that they, on a national level, international level, lie. And I have also proven, and have it proven to me, and have information from other councillors at a local level, that our local council is not running in a purely democratic way, and has got a lot of shortfalls and needs to have a rooted branch clearing out and recalibrating. And that's coming from other councillors, just so you know. So it's important that we as individuals get involved. And of course, everyone says, oh, they're all the same, which possibly they are, all these parties. You don't want to get involved in politics. Well, that's what they want you to do. They want you to be disenfranchised, to be disinterested, so they can cut up the pie in whichever fashion they want and to give it out to themselves and leave us as a community, society, right across the world society with the basic bare crumbs, which is appalling when you think that the cake is made by the masses, but eaten by the few. Think about that. So there you go. So this year, again, like many other years, we'll be looking at all aspects. So just so people understand, it's like, hey, wait a minute. I thought you just work with young people. No, we work with the whole of society, the whole of the community, rich, poor, you name it, whatever. And it's about sustainable development. And it's specifically about the social element of it. So politics comes into that. And we will be launching a purely political, so we can focus on podcasts, etc., leading up to the both local and general elections, to really screw down, focus on the true effects and or records, voting records. Look at the voting record of our local MP, appalling. To look at all the bits that don't work in local politics, and being a one issue politician like the local environmentalist, again, lovely, it's lovely, we all like the trees and stuff, but people, so that their needs are met first, and then when they'll have more capacity to understand the vital importance of how we interact with the natural environment. The earth will live without us, yeah? So therefore, to get people into that situation, they need not be struggling every day to keep a roof over their heads or to feed their children or themselves, etc., etc. So I'm looking forward to this year. I'm looking forward with great optimism, as I often do. And I'm looking forward to the challenge, and it's the ongoing challenge of exploring, exposing local councillors and politicians that aren't carrying their fair share of the load or doing what they said they would do when they were voted, because that is as vital and important as any other aspect of the work that we do. And I appreciate that most people have been disinterested and led to be disinterested so that they do not get scrutinised. So it is part of our duty as a sustainable development organisation to throw light, like we've done that marvellous film with Ray Winston, which was BAFTA nominated, to look at, spoiler alert, because it is on television from time to time, called Everything, by the way, which we produced, which looks at issues concerning the sex trade. That's just one aspect of our work. Bash Street, we had 100 people from our locality looking at issues about society. Again, you can get that from all good local can-dos. So I'm going to leave it there, but I want you to understand that we're using the arts to help everyone, but particularly those that need it most. So that's a wrap. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm looking forward to looking forward.